The bottom at the Mishnah, Baal Keri. We begin a new Mishnah today. Zok the Mishnah. Baal Keri, an individual that had a seminal omission. So, as Rashi explains, there is a takana that this was actually from the time of Ezra, from the first Beis HaMikdash yet. Beginning of the second Beis HaMikdash, that is. That a person that is a Baal Keri may not learn Divrei Torah. Okay? So, as we'll see later in the Gemara, that once it came the time after the Churban of the second Beis HaMikdash, this takana was annulled, and therefore what we're going to learn is not relevant today. But the Gemara here discusses the takana the way it was from the time of Ezra, that a Baal Keri may not learn Divrei Torah. So now when it comes to the mitzvah of Kriya Shema, which is of course what Brachos and these Prakim are about, the Gemara will discuss, the Mishnah will discuss, what's the halacha b'negeh to Kriya Shema, Birchas Kriya Shema, and also b'negeh to benching. What does a Baal Keri do regarding these things? He's saying words of Torah. So what does he do? Maharer b'liboy. He may only think the words of Kriya Shema in his heart, but ve'ena mevarich. He doesn't say the brachos of Kriya Shema, loy lefanel, not the brachos of Kriya Shema that we say before, v'loy lacharel, and not the brachos of Kriya Shema, or the one bracha in the evening, or in the morning that is, that you say after Kriya Shema. How about, one second, let me finish the Mishnah. How about regarding benching? Va'al hamazain, an individual that is benching. So what do you do regarding benching? You're allowed to bench. So we know that there's a difference between benching and a person that makes a bracha before food. Mevarech la'acharov, he may bench, ve'ena mevarech lefanov, and he may not make a bracha before eating, because the bracha before eating is not min ha'Torah, it's a takana mid'Rabbanan. And the same goes, as Rashi explains, regarding Kriya Shema. The actual Kriya Shema itself is min ha'Torah, but the brachas of Kriya Shema are mid'Rabbanan. So therefore, for the takana mid'Rabbanan, they did not allow the person to even think the words of Divrei Torah, to think the words of those brachas. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees, and Rabbi Yehuda says, Mevarech lefneim olachareim. The person may think the bracha of Kriya Shema before and after, and also b'negeh to benching, you make the bracha before and after. So Rabbi Yehuda does not hold of this distinction. We'll see in Mitzvah Shem soon in the Gemara what's the pshat and the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. If you don't mind, I'm going to go straight to the Gemara because I'm sure you have questions on this Mishnah, but the Gemara will explain. There's a lot of questions on this Mishnah. What does this mean? Thinking, what's the relevance of thinking? What's the kayach of thinking b'chlal? It's a strange Indian. A person thinks Divrei Torah and that's a replacement for Kriya Shema. Is it not a replacement for Kriya Shema? It's all here in the Gemara. Let's see it. Amar Ravina. So Ravina said and interpreted the Gemara as follows. Zoisei meres, what we could prove from this Mishnah is Hirur kedibadami, that when a person thinks words of Torah, that's just as powerful as saying it. And he explains what his proof is. If you're going to say that thinking words of Torah is not as effective as saying it, so then lama mahara. What is the point of this Baal Keri to think the words of Kriya Shema? And we're saying that he has to think the words of Kriya Shema, but he shouldn't think the words of Birchas, of the Birchas Kriya Shema. If the thinking is does not have that koyach and he's not yetzer mitzvah at all, so then what's the point of him thinking it? So the fact that we say that he has an obligation to think the words of Kriya Shema, that proves that Hirur has the same koyach as Dibur, just like when you speak those words. So the Gemara asks, wait a minute, if that's the case, that when you think words, it has the same koyach as saying the words, Elo mai, so now what are you telling me? Hirur kedibur dami? That Hirur and Dibur are basically the same thing? So if so, Yetzi b'svasav. If you allow Baal Keri to think it, so let him say it as well. You're just saying that Hirur and Dibur are the same thing. And as Mefarshim explained, the Gemara is asking basically a question, Miman of Shach. The Gemara only says one side of the question, but the Gemara is really asking Miman of Shach. If you're going to tell me that they're the same and therefore to speak it is forbidden, so therefore Hirur should also be forbidden. Elam, are you going to tell me no, that they're both allowed? I mean, we see Hirur is allowed, so then Dibur should also be allowed. But what's the pshat that we would distinguish between them? If you're telling me Hirur is kid Dibur, you can't distinguish. Either they should both be asur, or they should both be permitted. So the Gemara answers, Keda ashkechan b'sinai. The Gemara gives two words, Keda ashkechan b'sinai. The Gemara is very bekitzer. And the pshat on these two words of the Gemara's answer, according to Taisvis, and the way the Shagas Arya explains it is, the Gemara is answering really Hitter should be aser, dibur should be aser. If dibur is aser, hitter is aser, because they're both the same thing, and it's all aser. Elamai, regarding when you have a chiyuv min hatayra like kriyashma, or a chiyuv min hatayra like benching after you eat, there the chachamim were makel in their takana. They did aser both, because hitter and dibur are the same. But when it came to a chiyuv min hatayra, the chachamim were makel. And this kula, they will makel specifically only to the hitter and not to the dibur. Why? Either equal. The answer is because the Chachamim learned out from the way it was by Sinai. As we know, before Matan Torah, the Eibusha tells the Yidden they may not have a relation with their wife for 3 days, because the Eibusha does not want them to be in a state of a balkeri coming to Matan Torah. And by Matan Torah, of course, the Eibusha communicates the words of Torah b'dibur. So Chachamim compared to there, just like over there was b'dibur. And that was the Isser of being a balkeri. So when they made their takana, and they were looking for a leniency to allow a Yid to be mekayim the mitzvah of kriyashma, which is Minat Torah, they place that leniency only on Hidur and not on Dibur. Although B'etzem they're the same. But they learned from Matan Torah to make that leniency only b'negayat to Divrei, only b'negayat to Hidur and not b'negayat to Dibur. That's the pshat in the Gemara here. So it comes out from Ravina's opinion that really the pshat in this Mishnah is it's forbidden for a person, when it says here the Balkari should not say the Birchas Kriyashma or the Brachos Lefaneh. It's forbidden for him to say it. Forbidden, and it's a special heter for divrei for something which is Minat Torah, which is learned out from Sinai. That's one shot. Wait, we're not holding by halacha yet. We're in the middle of the sugya. Rav Chisda argues and says, Hiror lav ke dibur dami. Hiror is not compared to dibur. When you think in your heart and what you say b'dibur is not the same thing. The Isal kedaitach, and he proves it the other way around. The Isal kedaitach hirer kedibur dami. If you're going to say that hirer are equivalent, so then yaitzi b'svasav. So if you're allowing the Balkari to think it, let him be allowed to speak it, right? And Rav Chisda does not accept this comparison, this remez from Sinai. He says it's the same thing, so you can't differentiate between the two. So now the Gemara immediately asks, Elamai hirer lav kedibur dami. So what are you telling me, that when you think the words, it's befedish, not equivalent to when you speak the words? So then lama mahar, what's the point of a person that is a balkari to think the words? He's not being yetzer the mitzvah anyways. So what's the reason he has to think these words? Amar Rabbi Lazar, so Rabbi Lazar says, he's talking not yetzer at all kriyashma when he thinks it. It's a different inyan. So it shouldn't be that everybody else is saying Kriya Shema, or the entire world, everyone else is saying Kriya Shema. And at the time of Kriya Shema, he's sitting batal and not saying Kriya Shema. So he's not taking out Yaitz of the mitzvah, but it's just we don't want everyone else is saying Kriya Shema and he's not saying Kriya Shema. So the Gemara asks, he could learn something else. Everyone else is saying Kriya Shema, and he's not saying Kriya Shema, so he can learn, he can do something else. It doesn't have to necessarily be Kriya Shema. If everyone else is looking in the Siddur and saying Kriya Shema, he anyways is not going to be Yaitz of the mitzvah, so he could think Divrei Torah, he could think whatever else he wants. So the Gemara says, no, Omer Rav Ada bar Ave b'dovar shahatzibur oiskin boy. We want the person to say the same Kriya Shema which what everyone else is saying, to join the Sibur in saying the Kriya Shema that everyone else is saying. Okay, so now when you look at this piece of Gemara, it may seem that this only applies if a person is actually in a shul together with a tzibur. But there's two things. First of all, the Gemara uses the lashon shalayu kala oilam oiskin by v'yeshiv batal, which implies that it's lav dafke when he's present with a tzibur. It's even when he's in his own home, but this is the time period of the day where the entire tzibur is saying Kriya Shema. And another point is, Rabbeinu Yain over here says that even though the Gemara here is saying that saying Kriya Shema behirur when a person can't speak, and by the way, this is also relevant for chas v'shalom a chayla that can't speak. So the question is there any inyan of him saying it behirur? So the chayla based on our Gemara there is, because he should join the tzibur in saying it. But the question is there any relevance for a fulfillment of the mitzvah? So Rabbeinu Yaina says, besides of what the Gemara says here, that you should join the tzibur, there's also an inyan that when a person is mahar Kriya Shema, he gets a certain schar of saying the Kriya Shema also individually. Hagami is not mamash fulfilling the mitzvah, but he does get a certain schar, and therefore any person that's in a matzav that he can't speak should be mahar b'Kriya Shema. That's what Rabbeinu Yaina concludes from this Gemara. And this opinion of Rav Chisda is the final psak din la'alacha. What comes out from Rav Chisda is also another detail in the pshat of the Mishnah. If you think about what Rav Chisda was saying here, when it comes to the Birchas Kriya Shema, and the bracha lefaneh of benching, where the Mishnah said that you're not maharer, according to Rav Chisda, the pshat is not that it's osir. Be'emes hirer lav kedibur dami. So there's no isser. According to Ravina, when the Mishnah said that you shouldn't be maharer by birchas kriya shema, he was saying there's an isser because he held hirer as kedibur. Mashenkin, according to Ravina, it's not an isser. What he's saying is, if you want to think birchas kriya shema, you want to think any divrei Torah, you're allowed. Hirer is lav kedibur, no problem. But to get to kriya shema, you have an obligation, you have a chiyuv to say it to join the tzibur. It changes the whole pshat in the Mishnah, and as I said, this is the final psak lahalacha. The Gemara will challenge us now. Let's see on Daf Chafal from Aleph. V'harei tefillah the davar shat tzibur asukim b'ay. Comes to davening. Davening, of course, is something that the entire tzibur does together in the morning. Tanan, and we learned in a Mishnah, a person is davening, v'niskashu balkeri, and the person remembers, and suddenly that he's a balkeri and he shouldn't be davening. Lo yafsik, he shouldn't interrupt his davening. Once he started, Chazal allowed him to finish. El yekatzer, he should shorten his davening, and each bracha, Rashi says, should be shortened, and then he should complete his davening. So the Gemara is medayik. Time the only reason that we allow him to continue is because he began. Ha lo yaschol, but if he did not begin, lo yaschol, he should not begin davening, even though he's going to be different than the rest of the tzibur. According to the logic of Ravina, of Rav Chisda that is, that says you have to do like the rest of the tzibur, he's going to stand out from the rest of the tzibur. So Taisus points out, we're talking here about Shmei Nesrei, tefillah. By Shmei Nesrei, even more than the rest of davening, you stand out. Everyone else is standing with their feet together and davening Shmei Nesrei. An individual that's a balkeri, if he's not davening Shmei Nesrei, so presumably he's sitting in his place and he stands out in a very, very strong way. Even more than what it said in the Mishnah. In the Mishnah, we also said regarding birchas kriya shema that he doesn't have to join the tzibur, but by tefillah, it's even more. So the Gemara answers, Shani tefillah. In davening, it's different. The less ba malchus shemayim. When is it important to join the tzibur if they're saying Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, to be makabel malchus shemayim? But in Shemon Esrei, when you don't have that, you don't have to join the tzibur. The Gemara challenges us now from our Mishnah. V'harei, what are you telling me now? That the point that we look at is whether there's malchus shemayim or not. In the Shema you have malchus shemayim, and in davening there's no malchus shemayim. V'harei, you can't say that's the reason. V'harei, birchas hamazon we learned in the Mishnah when it comes to benching, la'acharav, after you finished eating, the less ba malchus shemayim, there is no malchus shemayim, mutnan, and what does it say in our Mishnah? Ala mazon mevarach la'acharav, when it comes to eating, you do think the words of benching after you finished eating, ve'enu mevarach lefanav, and not before. There's no malchus shemayim in Kabbalah, say malchus shemayim in benching. So why is he maharer? Why does he have to join the tzibur there, the people that are eating the meal? Ella, we have to give a different distinction, and this is the pshat that we had already in the Mishnah, that Rashi explains in the Mishnah. Kriya shema or birchas hamazon de'oraisa, both kriya shema and birchas hamazon are minat Torah, and there we want a person to join the tzibur. Tefillah derabbanon. Because the whole thing of tefillah is only with the rabbanon, so therefore it's not necessary for the person to join the tzibur. That's this prat here that the Gemara says now that we're machalik between minat Torah and midrabanon is the pshat both according to Ravina and Rav Chisda. That the distinction is between minat Torah and midrabanon. According to Rav Chisda, that explains why dafke by divrei Torah they made a special heter, and that also explains why according to Rav Chisda, dafke by divrei Torah they wanted you to join the tzibur. That's the conclusion of the Gemara, and this is the psak. The psak la halach la ma'aseh is hirur lav kedibur dami. Hirur lav kedibur dami. It's relevant to a lot of halachas, and hirur is lav kedibur dami.
So you
correct.
should say Kriya Shema, you shouldn't say.
Balkari should not say Kriya Shema, may not say Kriya Shema. But today, as I said, the whole takana of Ezra is bottled. We'll see in the Amshach of the Gemara. Amar Rav Yehuda, Rav Yehuda said, and according to the Bach Yegoidis, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, Minayin lebirchas hamazon la'achrei minat Torah. What's the source for the fact that benching after meal is minat Torah? Shenema, the pasuk clearly says, V'achalta v'savata uveirachta. You eat and you're satisfied and you bench Deivishter. Minayin lebirchas ha-Torah lefanel minat Torah. And what's the source for the fact that before you learn Divrei Torah, you have to make a bracha before? Shenema kishem Hashem ekra hava goydel alekeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, I'm going to call out the name of Hashem, and this is by the Shira of Hazinu, which he's going to be saying to the Yidden, words of Divrei Torah, and he says, first let's call and say the greatness of Hashem, which is making a bracha. So from here we learn out that whenever you say Divrei Torah, you first have to make a bracha. So the bracha before you learn Torah is different than the bracha of all other mitzvahs. The bracha before all other mitzvahs is midrabanan. The bracha before you learn Torah is minat Torah, as we see right here. He learns it out from a pasuk in Torah. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, lamadnu. So we learned out just now birchas haTorah lachrea. Sorry, let me start again. Amar Rabbi Yochanan said, lamadnu. We should learn out birchas haTorah lachrea, that one should make a Torah when he concludes his learning. Min birchas hamazon. Learn it out from birchas hamazon. If you have to bench after you eat, we can learn out from there that you should have to bench after you finish learning. Mikal v'chaimer. And the Gemara will say the kal v'chaimer in a moment. Ubirchas hamazon lefoneo, and a person should be obligated minat Torah to make a bracha before he eats. Min birchas haTorah. I shall learn that out from birchas haTorah. If you have to make a bracha before you learn divrei Torah, you should have to make a bracha before you eat. And the Gemara explains mikal v'chaimer. It should be a kal v'chaimer. What's the kal v'chaimer? Birchas haTorah lacharea min birchas hamazon. The kal v'chaimer that we should learn out that you should have to bench after you finish learning divrei Torah. Mikal v'chaimer. So we have a kal v'chaimer from food. Uma mazon, when it comes to a person eating, she'ein ton lefonav, it does not require making a bracha before you eat. So that shows on a leniency. And nevertheless, ton la'acharov, it does require a bracha when you finish eating. So Torah shatuna lefonah, Torah which is more stringent, as we see that it requires a bracha before you begin learning, ein din shatuna la'achra. It does not make sense that it should definitely require the bracha when you finish eating. That's the kal v'chaimer from birchas hamazon. Now the Gemara makes the exact same kal v'chaimer in the other direction. Ubirchas hamazon lefonah min birchas haTorah mikal v'chaimer. I could also make a kal v'chaimer to say that before you begin eating, you should be required to make a bracha, and I learned that out from birchas haTorah. What's the kal v'chaimer? Uma Torah she'ein tuna lachrea. I see that Torah is more lenient. It does not require a bracha when you finish learning Torah. Tuna lefoneo, it requires a bracha before you begin learning divrei Torah. Mazin shi tuna lachrav. Eating, which is more stringent because it requires a bracha when you finish eating, and it most definitely you should require it should require the bracha before you begin eating. So now let me just point out one thing. When you look at a kal v'chaimer like this, it's not exactly a kal v'chaimer. Usually a kal v'chaimer is when you have a stringent case and a lenient case. But if you look right here, they're both equal. The birchas hamazon requires before, and birchas haTorah requires after. So they both have a leniency and stringency. They're basically equal. Elamai, but the Gemara still uses the term kal v'chaimer. And the Gemara does this many, many times, that when you find a leniency and a stringency in one and the other, the Gemara will use the term kal v'chaimer, even though it doesn't really mean a real kal v'chaimer. But the Gemara is basically saying is, let's compare them. Let's compare them. A person learns Torah, and he's consuming ruchnias, he's benefiting of the Torah. That's one scenario. Then a person is eating, and he's deriving the benefit, and he's satisfied begashmias. Let's compare the two, and if the Torah requires dir a bracha lefanav, let's require it by learning Torah. If we require a bracha after meal by learning, let's say that the same thing applies to Torah. That's the pshat in the Gemara here. So now the Gemara is going to explain, no, you can't compare them. It doesn't work that way. Ikala mifrach. This whole comparison could be refuted. What's the refutation? Very simple. Mala mozain shekenena. When it comes to mozain, it's a gashmi thing that you're having a na from. You're satisfied physically, and you thank Hashem for being satisfied. When you walk away from the food, you walk away satisfied. Mala Torah, on the other hand, when it comes to Torah, when you learn the words of Torah, you're learning it's chai olam, it's eternal life. So over there, before you come to learn the holy words of Torah, you have to make a bracha before to thank Hashem and to prepare yourself to be able to learn the holy words of Torah. But when you're finishing learning, you make a bracha when you're finishing learning. You never finish learning. Even when you walk away from learning, you never really walk away from the learning. I'm sharing with you the pshat that it says in the Beis Yosef. The Beis Yosef explains this Gemara this way. You're not going to make a bracha after you finish learning. After you finish learning, you never finished. If you remember what we learned once before in Taisvis explains you make one bracha at the beginning of the day, you don't make a bracha again. Because a person always comes back to learning. A person that eats a meal, he eats the meal, he's not busy with eating a whole day. He eats the meal, and he finishes the meal, and then you come back later. So when you finish, you thank Hashem. I'm satisfied, Baruch Hashem, and I can walk away. When you finish learning Divrei Torah, you don't make a bracha after you finish learning. It's Chaye Yolam. It's with you, and it remains with you forever as well. V'oid, Another detail now the Gemara says that to refute the opinion of Rabbi Yechanan, because Rabbi Yechanan said that Lamadnu, we should and could compare them and make this Kal V'chaimer. So the Gemara says, no, but there's a Befedish Mishnah, a Mishnah that we just learned. Tnan ala mozain mevarich la'acharov ve'eina mevarich la'fanov. We see clearly the Mishnah says regarding the Balkari that he makes the bracha la'acharov, because that's Minat Torah, but ve'eina mevarich la'fanav. You don't make the bracha before, because that's only Midrabanan. Minat Torah, there's no bracha la'fanav, and we don't learn it out from the bracha la'fanav that you make by Divrei Torah, by learning Torah. To Yufta, this refutes Rabbi Yechanan's suggestion that you make a bracha Minat Torah even before you eat food.
I understand. There's a clear difference between Brachos Hanenim and all the other brachos. It's not a mitzvah to eat, technically. It is a mitzvah.
Correct. You're right. No, it is a different kind of bracha. But
like why don't we say by lulav? You say bracha afterwards.
Okay, let's go weiter in the Gemara. I'll try to answer that soon. Zok the Gemara Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda said again over here. Samar Geiris Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Safik Kara Kriya Shema. If a person has a doubt whether he said Kriya Shema, Safik Loy Kara, or he did not say Kriya Shema, what do? Do you have to read Kriya Shema again? So the Gemara says, Eina Chayzer. No, he does not have to read Kriya Shema again. Safik, Eina Chayzer v'Kaira. Safik, Omar, Emes v'Yatziv, Safik Lo Yomar. If you have a doubt whether you said the bracha of Emes v'Yatziv that follows Kriya Shema, or if you did not say it, Chayzer v'Omer, Emes v'Yatziv. The bracha of Emes v'Yatziv you do have to say again. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav. My timer, what's the pshat in this? Why would the bracha of Emes v'Yatziv be more stringent than Kriya Shema itself? So the Gemara explains that his opinion is Kriya Shema d'Rabbanan, that the whole Kriya Shema is with Rabbanan, and Emes v'Yatziv is d'Oraisa. Okay, this is not like everything we had till now, that Kriya Shema is Minat Torah, but his opinion is that Kriya Shema is Midrabanan, and saying Emes v'Yatziv is Minat Torah. Why is it Minat Torah? Because you mention Yitzias Mitzrayim, and the mitzvah to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim is Minat Torah. So as Taisus points out, that must be that this individual that doesn't know if he said Emes v'Yatziv or not is also unsure whether he said the third parasha of Kriya Shema where you have Yitzias Mitzrayim mentioned. Because if he mentioned it there, then it's not a suffix Minat Torah, that is. It's only a suffix Midrabanan. Masav Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef asked on this opinion that Kriya Shema is only Midrabanan. Ubishach b'chal v'komecha. The Torah says to read Kriya Shema when you go to sleep at night and when you wake up in the morning. How could it be Midrabanan? Amalei Abaye, so Abaye answered, according to his opinion, that pasuk is not talking about Kriya Shema. That pasuk is talking about Bechlal, the obligation that a Yid has to learn Torah morning and night. Now the Gemara brings our Mishnah to disprove this opinion. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah, Balkari Mahar Beliboy, Balkari thinks the words of Kriya Shema in his heart, and he does not say the brachos of Kriya Shema, not before, not after, which includes Emes v'Yatziv. The Balkari does not say the bracha of Emes v'Yatziv. Valamozoin, and by benching Mevarech la'achrav, he says the bracha after meal, ve'enu Mevarech la'fanav, it doesn't say the bracha before. If it's true that Emes v'Yatziv d'Oraisa, that saying Emes v'Yatziv is Minat Torah because you have to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim, livrech lachreah. The Balkari should be making the bracha of Emes v'Yatziv as well. He's fulfilling a mitzvah Minat Torah. So the Gemara answers, my time in Mevarech, what would be the reason to say Emes v'Yatziv? Why is it Minat Torah? Imishum Yitzias Mitzrayim, is it for the mentioning of Yitzias Mitzrayim? Ha'itgele b'Kriya Shema. This Balkari, where the Mishnah says, he says all three parshas, so he already mentioned it in Kriya Shema. So he was Makayim as mitzvah Minat Torah. But the Gemara is not satisfied. The Gemara asks, wait a minute. According to this opinion, Kriya Shema itself is Midrabanan. So the Balkari shouldn't necessarily be chayav to say Kriya Shema. He's only saying the Kriya Shema because the last parsha has the Yitzias Mitzrayim. So let him say Emes v'Yatziv, which has Yitzias Mitzrayim, and not say the third parsha of Kriya Shema that has Yitzias Mitzrayim. And perhaps the Mefarshim say there's even an advantage of saying Emes v'Yatziv, because over there you talk about Yitzias Mitzrayim at much greater length. You include the story of Kriyas Yamsuf. So let the Balkari say the bracha of Emes v'Yatziv and not say Kriya Shema at all, because Kriya Shema is Midrabanan. So the Gemara answers, no, Kriya Shema adife. Having the Balkari say Kriya Shema is better, because as we learned before, based on what we learned before, there is Batarti. It has mentioning Yitzias Mitzrayim, and it also has Kabbalah Soil Malchus Shamayim. In the Bracha of Emes v'Yatziv, you don't have Kabbalah Soil Malchus Shamayim. So therefore, the Balkari says, Dafke, the Kriya Shema and not Emes v'Yatziv. So this is all the opinion of Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rabbi Lazar argues, and of course this is the way we paskin, Safik Kara Kriya Shema, Safik Loi Kara. If a person has a doubt whether he said Kriya Shema or not, Chayza v'Kara Kriya Shema. You have to read Kriya Shema again because Kriya Shema is Minat Torah. Safik Hispalel, now Rabbi Lazar brings up another din. A person that has a suffix whether he davened or not, of course this refers to Shmai Nesra, whether he davened Shmai Nesra or not, Safik Lo Yispalel, Ein Chayzer Mispalel. Davening is Midrabanan, you don't have to daven again. Hey, this is the source for the fact that davening is only Midrabanan. At least the takana, the way we daven Shmai Nesra is Midrabanan. Rabbi Yechanan disagrees regarding davening. And this is actually the way we paskin. Even after a person did daven, and he knows he davened, halavai, the person would daven again. Person should daven the entire day. And therefore, if you have a suffix, if you davened or not, you can daven over again. That's what Rabbi Yechanan holds. Correct, but Rabbi Yechanan holds you can daven over again. So the Rebbe brings this in many places. I mean, this is the source in Nigla for the concept that's explained in Chassidus, that davening is not just about the way it is, Minat Torah, that the mitzvah is bakashas tzrachov, that a person is asking the Eibush to fulfill the needs that he has. Rabbi Yechanan saying, Levaish Yispal Adam Kol Hayom Kuloi, means even when he doesn't have any tzarech. Kol Hayom Kuloi. Elamai, you see here that the concept of davening is talking to Hashem, relationship, the connection. Tefillah is the connection. And therefore Rabbi Yechanan says, in that sense, davening is the entire day. And the Rebbe connects this to the story when Yidden came out of Mitzrayim and the Yidden screamed to the Eibusher by the Yamsuf and they davened then. And Rashi there says, Tofsu umnus avaisam. The Yidden grabbed the profession of their forefathers, of the Ovis. That the Yidden daven in every situation, even when davening is not necessary. When Yidden were by the Yamsuf, davening wasn't necessary because they had a clear promise of the Eibusher that they're going to be saved. And they saw all the miracles that already occurred and they had no doubt that they're going to be saved. But they still daven because a Yid, whenever, in whatever matzav he is, the davening is his mode of connection. That's what you see from this Gemara. Amar Rav Yehuda Mashmuel. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, Haya Oimid b'tfilah. A person is in the middle of davening. V'niska shespalal. And all of a sudden he remembers, I already davened. What does he do now? Paisik. So he has to stop right where he is. He doesn't go a word further. Afilah b'emtza bracha. Even right in the middle of a bracha. Sagt the Gemara, Eini, is this true? Rav Nachman said, Ki avinin bei Rabba Baravua. We were by Rabba Baravua, and Ba'aminon, he asks us the following question. Hani b'nei bei Rav, these yeshiva students by Rav, the Tol u'mitkiri, the Chayil b'Shabbos. They make a mistake, and in the Shmei Nesra of Shabbos, instead of continuing into the Shabbos Shmei Nesra, they begin with the bracha of Atachainen, and they're saying the weekday bracha on Shabbos. What's the halacha? Do they continue and finish the bracha of Atachainen, or you immediately stop and go back to the bracha of Shabbos? Va'amalon, and he answered us, Gaimrin kalaisa bracha. You do complete that entire bracha. So what's the difference? A person is saying the wrong bracha, and he completes the bracha. A person is not supposed to be davening because he already davened. Over there we say he stops right where he is. So the Gemara says, Hachi hashta. How could you compare it? Hasam gavra bar chiyuvahu. In the case of the person on Shabbos, he didn't daven yet. He has an obligation to daven. V'rabbanon hu d'lo yatruchu mishum kavod Shabbos. The Chachamim shorten the Shmei Nesra on Shabbos because of kavod Shabbos, and therefore you don't mention all of those things in the middle brachas of Shmei Nesra. So if he did already mention it, so he says it until the end. He completes the bracha because he's mechuyev to daven. But over here, aval hacha hatzalile. This person davened already. He's not a bar chiyuv at all. He davened already, and therefore he can't daven again. This is the halacha. This is the halacha. Exactly what it says here. A person that remembers when he's that he's saying Atachainen on Shabbos, you have to complete the bracha. And there is a machlokes in Rishonim regarding if a person got further than Atachainen. If a person remembers when he comes to Slach Lanu, and all of a sudden he finds himself. So but there's a machlokes. There's a machlokes Rishonim about that. But we paskin that even whichever bracha you're at, you can complete the bracha and then you go back to go back to beginning of Atakidashta, Yismach Moshe, whatever it is. V'amar Rav Yehuda Mashmuel, his spalal v'nichnas lebeis hakneses. A person that's davening and comes into a shul u'matzat tzibur shemispalelin, and he finds that the people are davening there. Okay, he davened already, and everyone else is davening, and he comes in and he's going to stand at the side. So what do you do? If there's anything new that you can say in your Shmei Nesra and add something personal, add something new in the Shmei Nesra, Yachzer v'yispalol, you should daven and add something new. So you're not repeating the same Shmoneh Esrei that you davened before. Vim lav, if there's nothing new that you can add, al yachzer v'yispalol, you shouldn't daven again with them. You davened already, right? That's the halacha we had before. Once a person davened, and even if you find yourself in the middle of davening, you stop right where you are and you don't continue. So the Gemara over here is going to address, we have basically the same halacha repeated in two different scenarios. The point here is, once you davened, you don't repeat the davening again. In the case where you caught yourself in the middle, and in the case when you walked into a shul and everyone else is davening. So the Gemara explains it's tzricha. We need to teach both of these halachas. The Yashmin and Kamaisa, if I would have said the first din where a person catches himself in the middle of davening, then I would say, Hanemili, when is that said that you don't repeat davening again? Yochid v'yochid. When it's the same person, he davened once, and now he wants to repeat davening, or by mistake he's repeating davening again. Oi, tzibur v'tzibur. Perhaps he already davened the first time v'tzibur, and now he's going to repeat davening a second time in the same place, in the same setting of a tzibur. Avol yochid legabe tzibur, but maybe a person that davened the first time, b'yechidus, and now he walks into a shul and he has an opportunity to daven with a minyan, so maybe you missed the minyan the first time around, you can make up the minyan the second time around when you come into shul. Command leit salida. Legabe tzibur is command leit salidami. Your davening, comparing it to the davening of a tzibur, is as if you didn't daven. Kamash malan. So still, we say that you shouldn't daven again. That's why we need the second case. V'yashmin and hacha. If it only tell me the second case of the person that comes into the shul, I would say mishum delay aschol ba. He came into the shul and he didn't yet start davening with the tzibur. So there's a question: should he start or not? We tell him he shouldn't start. Aval hasam da aschol ba. But in a case where a person actually started davening, I would say he already started davening. Let him complete his davening. So loy, I say no, that even if he already started davening, he's not allowed to continue, and therefore tzricha has to tell me both cases. So the psak halacha l'maisa is in the Rishonim and in the Shulchan Aruch that regarding a suffix, we paskin like Rabbi Yechanan or Levaishi Yispal Ladin Kolayim Kula. If a person has a suffix whether he davened the tefillah, you have to daven it over again because of what Rabbi Yechanan said. Levaishi Yispal Kolayim Kulay. But Rabbi Yechanan's own opinion was that includes even if a person that knows for sure that he davened once, he could daven again. But we only use Rabbi Yechanan's opinion for a suffix. In the case where a person knows that he davened, you're not allowed to daven over again. A person that comes into shul, and he sees that the people are davening, and he wants to join them in daven Shmoneh Esrei as well. And he came late. If you could start Shmoneh Esrei and complete early enough, actually yagia shatz l'maidim, that the shliach tzibur, before the shliach tzibur will come to maidim in the chazaras hashatz, yispal. He should daven Shmoneh Esrei with them. He'll have the ability to say maidim with the rest of the tzibur. Then lav, if he won't be able to join everyone else in maidim, al yispalo. He shouldn't daven. Because there's a very important point to be able to say maidim together with the tzibur, as it says in the Mefarshim, I don't think Rashi says it here, that you have to be able to bow together with the rest of the tzibur and say maidim, and it shouldn't look like that you're not bowing together with everyone else, you're chas v'sholem kaifer, and what they're saying. So it's important to say maidim with the tzibur. Rabbi Shua ben Levi argues and says, no, you have to be able to finish your Shmoneh Esrei quicker. If you can begin and finish early enough that you should be able to say kedusha with the rest of the tzibur, nagdishach, then you spalo. Then you should start Shmoneh Esrei. Vim lav, but if you can't start, you won't finish early enough to start nagdishach, al yispal, don't begin Shmoneh Esrei. Wait until the shliach tzibur will say kedusha, and then you'll have your own Shmoneh Esrei. And the second opinion is the way we paskin in Shulchan Aruch. The Alter Rebbe paskins this in Shulchan Aruch, but the Alter Rebbe there does add that there's an exception. What's if you're in a shul that there's more than one minyan? So you're going to miss kedusha of your minyan because you'll be in the middle of Shmoneh Esrei, but you'll be able to hear kedusha from another minyan. So then it's okay. You could daven Shmoneh Esrei even if you'll miss kedusha from your minyan, as long as you can hear kedusha from a different minyan. The Gemara explains what's the basis of this machlekes. What are they arguing about if it's important for a person to be able to say kedusha with the rest of the tzibur? Ma'asavar, the opinion that says that you're only concerned about maidim but not about kedusha. Yachadoy kedusha. You could say nagdishach b'yechidus. You don't need a minyan for that. U'ma'asavar, the opinion that says that you have to be quick enough to say kedusha with the minyan holds. Ein yachadoy kedusha. You can't say kedusha alone. You have to be able to join the tzibur. From where do we know that when you say kedusha, and that also includes answering amen for kaddish, that you have to have a tzibur. Shenema v'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael. The Eibusha says, my name is sanctified amongst the Yidden, which means that kol davasha b'kedusha, anytime you mention davasha b'kedusha, you're sanctifying Hashem's name, whether it's nakdishach, whether it's saying kaddish, lo yehei pachas masara. It shouldn't be done with less than 10 people. How do we know it's 10 people? It says b'toich b'nei Yisrael. Maybe it means 100 people. Maybe it means 1,000 people. How do we know 10? My mashma, what's the proof? The Tana Ravino Yachod Rabchia Bar Abba. Asya toich toich. We compare the word toich that it says here to the word toich that it says in another pasuk. Ksiv hacha v'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael. Uksiv hacha, there's another pasuk where it also uses the term toich, which is where hibadlu mitoich ha'eda azais. Everyone should remove from this terrible congregation, which is the Meraglim. Mala lona sara. Just like there, it's talking about 10 people. Afkana sara. So too, it's talking about 10 people. So from here you see that when you have a minyan of 10 Yidden, it's anybody. Even Mitoicha Eda Ra Zais, 10 Yidden, kosher as in that their mother was Jewish, create a minyan. Doesn't matter what level they're on. The Rebbe actually has a different shot. That Adarabba, you see from here that Be'etzem the Meraglim were really tzaddikim. As it says in Chassidus, that they only had a different kavana, beruchnius, but Be'emes the Meraglim themselves were Anoshim Kshedim, were great tzaddikim, and therefore this is the source for the concept that we have a minyan. Zok the Gemara. The kula alma miyas mifsik loy pasik. Everybody will agree that in the middle of Shemay Nesra, you cannot interrupt to say Kedusha. If you could interrupt, then there's no issue. You can start whenever you want. You can interrupt in the middle. Everybody agrees you're not allowed to interrupt the middle of Shemay Nesra. So based on this, the question was asked, He's answering Amin Yeshmei Rabba. Are you allowed to interrupt the middle of Shemay Nesra for Amin Yeshmei Rabba? So we learned already before on Daf Gimel and Brachos that Amin Yeshmei Rabba is an extremely powerful thing. So maybe you can't interrupt for Kedusha, but maybe for Amin Yeshmei Rabba, yes. Kiyas Rav Dima Rav Yechanan v'Rav Shimon Talmidei Rav Yechanan Amri. They said La Koil Ein Mafsikin. In the middle of Shemay Nesra, you're not mafsik for anything. Chutz when you hey Shmoy Agadol Mevayrach. Besides, when you say Amin Yeshmei Rabba, Shafila Isik b'Maisa Merkava. Even if a person that's learning the deepest secrets of Torah is learning Maisa Merkava, Paisik. You have to stop for Amin Yeshmei Rabba. But the Gemara concludes, V'les hilchase kavasei. This is not the way we paskin, of course. In the middle of Shemay Nesra, you do not interrupt for Amin Yeshmei Rabba. Now the Gemara returns to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah that said that not only could a Balkari think Kriya Shema and Birchas HaMazon, which are Minat Torah, he can think Birchas Kriya Shema and the Bracha Lefanel, which are not Minat Torah. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yudayim mevarach lefneim lachreim. L'meimre, shall we say, the Kasav Rabbi Yehuda, that the basis of Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is, Balkari mutter b'divrei Torah. That a Balkari may think divrei Torah, any divrei Torah, even if it's not an obligation to say the Kriya Shema Minat Torah. Could this be? Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, Minayin leBalkari she'asa b'divrei Torah. What is the source for the fact that a Balkari is not allowed to speak divrei Torah? Shenema v'haydaitam levanecha v'levnei vanecha. And you should teach the Torah to your children and your grandchildren. V'samach lein immediately afterwards. It says, Yom asher amadata. This is like the day that you stood by Matan Torah. And we compare the two. Mala halam balikari asur. And just as by Matan Torah, it was also to be a Balkari, and therefore they weren't allowed to be within a relationship with their wife 3 days before. Afkan, so too when you learn Divrei Torah, Balkari asurin. A Balkari may not speak Divrei Torah. So that's a clear comparison that we have. The Mefarshim point out this is not a real limud. This is only an asmachta, because the issa to speak Divrei Torah, as we said before, was a takana of Ezra in the time of the first Beis HaMikdash. But still, there's a clear indication to this in the pasuk. Now, maybe we can say Rabbi Yehuda loy darish smuchim. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold to this drasha. This comparison of the two psukim that are written near each other, he doesn't darshan this way. He doesn't compare them. So the Gemara says, no, that can't be. Rav Yosef said, Afile man deloy darish smuchim b'chol haTorah. Even the opinion that holds that in the all of Torah, we don't darshan this way. We don't compare one pasuk to the other. And the basis for that is because we know the klal, ein mukdim u'mocha b'Torah. So the fact that the psukim are written near each other, you can't darshan it. So that's in all of Torah. But in Mishnah Torah, when it comes to Sefer Devarim, darish. Very dashnit. Mishnah Torah is different than the rest of Torah. It was brought into the Nevuah of Moshe. The Rebbe explains this in the Sikha that it was mislabish in the Seichel of Moshe. So there the order does have a reasoning to it, and over there the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu communicated in this way, you could learn out from there. Okay, so the Mishnah Torah Yadarshan, and the psukim we brought before are from Mishnah Torah, are from Dvarim. Now the Gemara brings the source to this idea. Rabbi Yehuda loy darish smuchim b'chol ha'Torah kula. Rabbi Yehuda's opinion was that you do not darshan smucha in all of Torah, but of Mishnah Torah darish. When it comes to Sefer Devarim, he did darshan smuchim. U'b'chol ha'Torah kula minal and the loy darish. Where do we see Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that in the rest of Torah he did not darshan smuchim? So the Gemara brings the source for this. The Tanya we learned in a Braise, Ben Azai Oimer. Ben Azai said the following halacha. Nemar mechashefa loy sachaya. A mechashefa should not live. Okay, which means she's chayev misa. Which misa is she chayev? Doesn't say in the pasuk. V'nemar, it says right there as well, right afterwards. Kol sheichiv and behema mois yumas. One that lies with a behema is mois yumas, which is skila. Samchu inyan loy loymar. The reason why it says together is to teach me that sheichiv and behema beskila, just like a person that lies with a behema is chayiv skila, as Rashi brings, it's learned out from another place that sheichiv and behema is chayiv skila. Af mechashefa nami beskila. The death of a mechashefa is through skila. So this is the hekish that Ben Azai learned out to compare these two. Amalei Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. Rabbi Yehuda does not darshan smuchen. Just because the Torah writes both together, that's enough of a source to give the machashefa skila. You can't learn out from smuchen. He disagrees to smuchen. Ella rather, he has a different source. Oiv Yedayni b'chlal kol machashim. Oiv Yedayni is various ways of communicating and getting messages from the dead through an Oiv Yedayni, which is a kind of kishuf. So the Torah wrote mechashefa loy sachaya, and then it took Oiv Yedayni out of the klal. This is something that we say every morning before davening, in the beginning of davening. Kol davar shehoya b'chlal, v'yatzam in a klal, lelamed. It's coming to teach me something. And loy lelamed al atzma yatsa, but lelamed al klal kula yatsa. So that's exactly what happens here. Oiven Yedayni are taken out of the klal of mechashefa. V'lama yatsu, and by Oiven Yedayni, the Torah clearly says that the oynish is skila. So it teaches me lahakish lahen. We compare mechashefa to the Oiven Yedayni. V'loy malacha ma Oiven Yedayni b'skila, just like Oiven Yedayni are chayiv skila. Av mechashefa b'skila. Mechashefa is also chayiv skila. So Rabbi Yehuda did not want to darshan the smuchen. He had a different source. That's in all the Torah. He doesn't darshan smuchen in all the Torah. Ubimishne Torah minal and the darish. Where do I see that in Devarim, in Chumash Devarim, he does darshan smuchen? The Tanya Rabbi Eliezer, because Rabbi Eliezer said the following halacha. Of course, we know a person may not have a relationship with his father's wife, and that's even if it's not his mother. Eishes Aviv is one of the arayis. You may not have a relationship with your father's wife. How about if it's not the father's wife, but it's a person, it's a woman that the father either raped or seduced in a relationship, but it's not his wife? May the son get married to that woman. So Rabbi Eliezer says, a person may marry a woman that's only an anusa of his father, or mefutas aviv, but not his father's wife. And the same also applies, anusas benoi, or mefutas benoi. It's not your daughter-in-law, but it's someone that your son either raped or seduced, and that you may marry her. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees and says, no, even that is forbidden as well. But even in that case, he says it's also aser. What's the source of Rabbi Yehuda? The source of Rabbi Yehuda was smuchen, because he darshan putting two psukim together. V'amar Rav Gidl amar Rav, my time of the Rabbi Yehuda, the chsiv, the pasuk says, lo yikach ish es eishes aviv, do not marry your father's wife, lo yigale knaf aviv, and also do not reveal and get married to a woman that the garment is your father's garment. Knaf shara aviv, a garment that your father saw. Lo yigale, you may not reveal, you may not marry to. Umimai banusas aviv ksiv. How does he know when it says the expression of knas aviv, of knaf aviv, it's referring to somebody that the father had a temporary relationship with? The samach lei, because right afterwards the pasuk is talking about such an incident. V'nasana isha sheichev ima. There the pasuk talks about the knas of a person that was ma'anas a girl that he has to pay her 50 kesef. So what do we see here? Even though in Chumash Rabbi Yehuda did not darshan smuchin, but in Chumash Devarim, he did darshan smuchen. So we go back to our original question, why did Rabbi Yehuda not hold of the smuchen that we said before, that when you teach Torah, you compare it to Har Sinai, that you may not be a Balkari? So the Gemara says, and we'll conclude with this point, Amri, they answered, in b'mishnah Torah darish. He does darshan in Mishnah Torah. But v'hani smuchen, the pasuk we brought before, v'haydaitam levanecha, that you should teach your children and grandchildren Torah, he learned from there something else that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said. The Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, kol hamenamed levnoi Torah, a person that teaches his son or his grandson Torah, it's as if you're standing by Matan Torah and you yourself are receiving the Torah from Sinai. When you give the Torah to the next generation, it's like you're getting it directly from Sinai. You're teaching your children Torah. The pasuk immediately says, Yom asher amarta lefnei Hashem elekecha b'chayrev. This is the day that you're standing by Har Sinai. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda.